see it's getting darker and darker, and there's just no way right now for these drivers to know exactly what's going to happen.
These guys are going to have to be really, really careful and tiptoe around the track until it's either stopped.
Not even 10 minutes into this race, and I feel like we've got enough strategy going on for a whole event, but still a long, long way to go.
There's Yellowstone, there's Yosemite, but for racing fans and for Grid Life's Elkhart Classic, the destination is Road America, the National Park of Speed.
Free ride in the front of the field here. Look at Emil Tab up the inside for the race lead. We head down to the first corner.
And these guys have no idea what they're coming into. Look at this field. They're 2 wide, 3 wide, a couple places slipping.
Side by side for the race lead. 54, 48 through 3 and 4. Working lap number 60, 110 laps to go. Yusuf Ghali, power move to the bottom of the racetrack, making the short way work. They're going to touch down the hill. This will be a great run for Fuller here.
Yeah, typically ran off the track in the final quarter of that lap 4 to get a massive.
Here he comes.
Does he have a look?
Oh, big block here by Sanfilippo. Into the grass goes Ben Fuller for turn 1. And Sanfilippo hangs on. He's loose. No! And he crashes hard in the exit of turn number 2. Don't try here, boys. They're going to do it. Briscoe backs out. They touch. They're going to crash. Briscoe going to slam the attenuator hard into the wall. And Jared Tesson hits him as well. And big damage on these cars. That's huge.
Number 4, people are struggling for grip. Going out of every single lane. They're trying to then run. It's getting really insane.
Powered by AWS for the Intercontinental GT Challenge, powered by Pirelli. And the Indianapolis 8-hour. We are 7 hours and 18 minutes into this 8-hour event.
John Miller way deep on the brakes to the inside of turn number 1 and 2. The spin, the 3 car gets turned around in front of the car.
James Howden looking for a place to go, but he's got Austin Cobb to the inside. A bit of a gap behind. I think that's about 15th or 16th spot as they come out of turn 3. Big slide for this.
Getting a run. He's got it. Going to be a drag racing line. Final corner. Checkered flag waving. Here they come. At Virginia National Raceway. To the line. Thompson, Darling, door to door. Banging doors. Fender to fender. I can't believe what we just saw.
The Fuel Mission 22 Premier Series enters its last regular season race, but for a venue like Richmond Raceway, this kind of championship heat is par for the course. For 12 Fuel drivers, their season will continue into the Fuel Finals, giving them the opportunity to win a championship. For everyone else, it'll be the end of the line for their title hopes. From the high banks of Talladega last week to the confines of this classic Southern short track, we'll whittle down the field for the 2021 Fuel Finals. Kyle Heyer and Connor Horn with you tonight for the Fuel Mission 22 Premier Series, the 12th round of the season, and Connor, the final round of the regular season, but we're not done racing just yet.
Oh no, not by any means. We've seen a lot of drama at these short tracks so far this season, from New Hampshire to Nashville Fairgrounds. It's been a blast, and every single time these cars get on the short track, it's always beating and banging. It's a hard race to complete. It's always been seemingly Alan Elwood who's been able to conquer these short tracks. It might be so different tonight though.
So qualifying underway now for tonight's race. We've got 18 drivers, make that 19 drivers entered for tonight's event. Kind of the point situation has been fairly stable the last couple of weeks. As you can see, some drivers, though, finding that the exit of turn number 2 is not stable. This track got some changes today, Connor, so drivers having to adjust to that before they get into the racing tonight.
It's pretty tough for them. Any practice anyone had before today pretty much wiped away. The track's completely different. The top was pretty dominant before. Now it's not as dominant, especially in the day. So we're still going to see a lot of multi-group racing. I think the lanes are going to be a bit more even from what we've seen since these grip strips, if you will, have been put onto the track. So I think it might make for some crazy racing on restart specifically, and maybe even on the long run as well. So I think a lot of people had to do a little more learning after those updates, and I think a lot of people are still calling out of it.
So last week at Talladega, the plan was pretty simple. Just make it to the end and go for the win. The driver that did that last week was Thomas Bresci in this number 24, picking up momentum at the right time. He's second in the points, right behind Alan Elwood, with a chance to run him down. Shane Terrian, who started off the season so strong, has dropped to 4th in the standings, but running 3rd here in qualifying. Is the 83 car the one to watch, being the reigning champion and the one that maybe had the best momentum coming into the season? Or is it the guy that's been carrying all the momentum and the wins this season? 5 wins for Alan Elwood.
I think Terrian can jump up to the front of the pylon at any moment, but you can't deny Alan Elwood's been the dominant driver this season, and the best driver this season. All the wins he's been able to rack up. He won the doubleheader at Charlotte for 1. Like you said, 5 wins, looking for a 6th as he's at the top of the pylon for qualifying so far today with a 22.085. He's been the best driver. He's been able to take any challenge and just, go right through it and hit it head on. So I don't see how you can bet against this 5 car right now.
Another car maybe shouldn't bet against is the 56 of Riley Thompson. He's got 2 wins on the season, so he's been pretty successful as well. Currently comes into the night 3rd in the standings, 56 back from Alan Elwood. I think his strength is on some of the shorter tracks and maybe the road courses. We're sort of done with some of that, Connor. We've got Richmond this week. Of course, we'll kick off our field finals at Dover, then head to Las Vegas, Martinsville, and Chicagoland to end the season. So I'm not really sure who this benefits. I don't think we've seen any one driver be dominant at any particular kind of racetrack, although if you're looking at the schedule so far, Elwood's won at Nashville, he's won at Charlotte, he won both, well, the doubleheader at Charlotte, which sort of counts for 2, New Hampshire, which is a mid-length track, and then also Rockingham, a 1-mile racetrack. So he's sort of won all over the board. So that 5 car is going to be hard to beat. But in terms of anybody else winning the championship, I don't think you're going to have anybody sneak in there and steal this one away. It seems pretty clear to me, Connor, that we've sort of got our favorites picked out. I think the midfield battles are going to be really, really good. We've got a couple of drivers that have been advancing and running really well lately. Casey Lakatos in the number 50 has had a good couple of weeks. He will come into the night looking at 11th in the standings, 11 out away from 10th with Brad Slaughter Jr., but he should be good on points. So I think Casey would like to be a little higher up the order, but I think he's okay with where he is.
Yeah, as long as he stays somewhere up there, he should be fine. Just a clean race should get him into the chase. If he can get into the top 10, that would help, because I believe you get 5 bonus points compared to having no bonus points if you're a wild card. So there's a little bit to play for him and Danny Ware, who are tied in the points for that 11th position. But a smooth race will get him in for sure. There's really not much pressure on Lakatos coming into today.
Well, qualifying is still going. I'm noticing a lot of people struggling with corner exit, especially out of turns 2 and 4. You can see the rubber actually rubbering in that spinning out line. Is that a concern maybe as this track transitions from low grip into higher grip later in the night when the track cools off and the track rubbers up? Your thoughts on that? How challenging is this track going to be, especially with everybody getting used to it?
It's going to be really difficult. It's going to be a different challenge with the multi-grooved aspect kind of back into it. But you see all these tire marks around the track. Everyone's sliding the rear tires, and that's on the short run. Everyone's just doing qualifying times right now, and they're still sliding those tires. Imagine if you get a long run, how insane that's going to be. You're going to see people slipping and sliding all over the place, trying to keep the grip in the rear tires. And as that track transitions from day to night, people are going to get a little bit more confident, but you're still going to be seeing people slide around left and right, maybe into the inside wall or into the outside wall. I think it's going to be a big challenge for these drivers to, a big task for all these drivers to handle a day-to-night transition like this.
Well, right now, the top 6 are less than 1/10 apart from each other. Michael Stroll is 7/100ths back. For the pole position, Alan Elwood has it by 8 thousandths over Shane Terrian, the number 83, who's second. Riley Thompson is third, 13 thousandths back from the overall qualifying lead here, provisional pole. Brad Slaughter Jr., a nice qualifying effort right now, currently scored in 5th. I don't think that's going to shuffle a lot unless Michael Stroll can dethrone him. He's going to get one more go around Richmond. Oh, well, he's going to shut it off, and he did not advance, so he will stay 6th.
won't do anything here. I'm looking at Terry, and he's on a run right now trying to get back to pole position. He's a bit slidey out of turn 4, but he's trying to get that top spot away, and he's not going to be able to do that. If he wants to go for a second lap, he can do it, but I don't know if the second lap's going to be faster.
So checker flag falls here in qualifying. Just a couple drivers finishing up their lap times. And doesn't look like anybody is going to advance or change at this point. So qualifying will be considered complete after these last 2 drivers come across the line. And no changes there. So, Riley Thompson did jump up there for the last moment, a 22.051. So Riley Thompson will sit on pole here at Richmond. Wow, that took me by surprise.
I didn't even see him on the track. I don't know where that came from. I was looking at Bresci, who didn't jump up the board, but he went faster. Thompson at the very end of qualifying, able to get the pole position. That's pretty big. At a track like this, you need track position.
Yeah, you certainly do, and he's going to be in a good spot to take advantage of that. So with qualifying complete, we've got our gridding process coming up. Of course, some interesting facts about Richmond Raceway. Richmond, Virginia, population 230,000 people, thereabouts. This racetrack constructed in 1946. It's been around the block a few times. Of course, this racetrack was originally named Strawberry Hill until it was purchased in 1999. So this track has changed names a couple times and shifted around. On the left-hand side of your screen, Connor, you got your starting lineup. Take me through it. Let's start with row number 1. Riley Thompson is going to be the pole sitter tonight alongside Alan Elwood in that number 5, Connor.
Then you got Shane Tarrant and Thomas Bresci on the second row, 2 drivers who are definitely championship threats. All 4 of our championship threats qualifying top 4, actually, so that's interesting to see. Brad Slaughter Jr., Michael Stroll on the 3rd row, then Brian Chambliss and Tyler Hensley there on the 4th row, rounding out the top 10 is Braxton DeWeese and Hayden Pistorius. Pistorius needs a really big night tonight if he wants to make it.
Behind them, it's A.J. Roderick in the number 26. Casey Licata starts 12th in the number 50. Then Danny Ware, Will Roberts share row number 7. 15th and 16th, Casey Shue, Boomer Logan, with Finney Nakuna, Brent Jones, and David Mott Jr. wrapping out the rest of your field. Keys of the race tonight, Connor. A couple things to go over. First things first, multi-groove. The changes tonight. No one knows how they're going to work, but I think we're going to find out by about lap 75.
Yeah, we'll probably have to wait and see for the track to kind of rubber in a little bit, but you're going to see that top line maybe be used for passes. The bottom line gets really stacked up at Richmond, and having that top line there might take away from that aspect. It might give you another lane to go to if that bottom line stacks up.
Points picture, of course. The points are pretty much set, but there's still a chance for things to shuffle should people have an extraordinarily good or extraordinarily bad night. We'll keep you updated on that as the night goes on. And day into night, Connor, as the sun sets, the track's going to cool off, and it's going to change how this track drives. Right now, 80 degrees Fahrenheit track temp. That's going to drop just a little bit. Nice, comfortable humidity at 77 degrees air temp, which nicely enough is about what it is here in Chicago right now where I am, and I'm enjoying it. A little hot here in the sim room at the moment, though.
Yeah, definitely not hot here. I'm feeling pretty good, so I feel for you because you have a bunch of stuff. You have more stuff running behind you, but it's probably going to get a little bit more hot here if this race gets pretty aggressive, because we're going to probably see a lot of beating and banging from drivers. Natural Fairgrounds was definitely caution filled, so Richmond could either be the same or could be worse. Could be better, but it also could be much worse.
All right, so field rolling onto the back straightaway and heading towards turns 3 and 4. The pit road is closed. We're going to get one more go around this speedway, I believe, before. Do they get one pace lap here or 2? I always forget. 2, they do get 2. So we'll get one more lap to get the tires warmed up and ready to launch. Tonight's race is 150 laps, Connor. If we go green from start to finish, that's 55 minutes. Do you think it's going to go green from start to finish?
I'd be surprised if it did. You never know. We're going to have one green flag pit stop at the very least, and who knows when that's going to come with where the halfway bonus points are and all that. So I don't think this is going to go green. I think it's going to be an aggressive race, but you just never know.
All right, double file racked up and stacked up for our 12th race of the season. We'll see you next week on Tuesday night for Dover, Delaware. That is the Monster Mile. And then we'll be at Las Vegas on April 20th, Martinsville on the 27th, and Chicagoland Speedway on May 4th to round out the 2021A Fuel Mission 22 Premier Series season, where we here at SimTV will be stepping away from the series and putting it in some new hands as I move away in my personal life to get some nights free in my schedule. But time to go racing for Fuel Mission 22 Premier Series, the last race of the regular season. Green flag flies. Riley Thompson is the leader. Oh, trouble. That's a 19 car. Wow, big slide on the back straightaway. Gathers it back up, will stay green. That was a heck of a save. Terrian sideways out of turn 4.
We talk about how sideways it is. It's no joke. This track is cooling off, and everyone's still slipping and sliding out of mainly turn 4, but turn 2 is a trouble spot as well.
So got to watch out, make sure that you don't find yourself in a bad spot here early in the going. Michael Stroll, the number 8 car, popping out of line. Going to the inside of the 83, the 44, Tyler Hensley right behind. Big slide for Finian D'Acuna out of turn 4. He's going to gather it back up.
Farther down in the order than we'd see him in qualifying. I don't even know if he put down a time. He actually did, just wasn't that fast. So we usually don't see Finian get through the field. He usually doesn't have to, so we'll wait and see how this works out for him.
Got to correct a timing error briefly. Give me one moment to get rebooted here. But in the meantime, Connor, the start of this race, I think we expected it to be pretty frantic in some cases, but I think everybody kept it straight for the first 2 laps, so now they're going to settle into that groove and be good from here on out, do you think?
We'll have to wait and see. We're still not seeing anyone really try the top line, so like we said, it's probably going to take a while for that to come in, if it does, but definitely people are trying to find their bearings on this track. Everyone was slipping and sliding in practice, a bit different of conditions for this race, so everyone's just really trying to bide their time and just feel what the track's got for them.
Thompson leads the way. Alan Elwood, who got the pole stolen from him in the late stages of qualifying, trying to run him down. Has been unsuccessful so far. Here's D'Acuna on the inside of Will Roberts. This is for 14th place.
That's the highest we've seen really anyone. Will Roberts trying to get something going up there. He's able to fend off Finian for now, but I don't know if that top line's getting enough of a run off the corners to make it really work yet.
Danny Ware trying to recoup some of those positions on the inside of Boomer Logan in the 85. There's Brent Jones in the 89 car in the backdrop. That's that blue and black Toyota Supra. Logan goes long way around. Dave Mott Jr. turning hard left down the straightaway. This race, I think, if we can get into a stage of just running laps, these laps are going to tick off very, very quickly. The second we get a caution, though, I think you can throw all the normalcy out the window, and we're going to see that chaos start to brew. Thomas Bressie, though, let's talk about this guy here right here. Won at Talladega last week, didn't expect to win, but it gave him a lot of momentum and I think a lot of energy that he needed to come down into this tail end of the season and have a legitimate championship run. He comes into the night with 1 win on the season just at Talladega, but that 1 win is, I think, all he needed to get the momentum he needs to go out there and win some more. So do you think tonight he could get another one?
I think he could. He's really good at short tracks, and he's really improved at his tire saving lately. And he, like you said, he needed that win. He needed a jolt in the arm square. He was really bummed about losing that the race. I forget off the top of my head what road course it was, but he thought he had it won at Sonoma. He just wasn't able to make it work, I believe. He got beat for that. I apologize for not remembering, but that's one he thought he had won, and he just was able to make it work. He was really bummed in his post-race interview, but he was still able to, bounce back, and he was able to get a very unlikely win at Dega of only 52 laps. Like I said, the jolt in the arm he needed, and this is definitely a good time to get momentum going.
Let's take some damage on the right front of Casey Schu's car, so he got into the wall a little bit earlier. Looking off the back of the 94, D'Acuna, who's on a forward charge, 17th to 13th, 4 spots in the first 10 laps. Not a bad run. You see in front of him AJ Roderick and Casey Lakatos battling for 11th, but there, D'Acuna, big flat slide through turns 3 and 4.
Your time up so far. Speaking of SimTV cars and right side damage, Casey Lakatos has also gotten the wall. He has pretty severe, yes, he actually has a lot of damage. He's got the right front damage, and the rear end of that car is all torn up.
AJ Roderick, wow, he definitely got drilled by somebody. I don't know what car will match that damage. It doesn't look to be Roderick.
Ware had the front end damage as well, so it could have been them because they had that incident at turn 2.
Yeah, it might have been. You're right. Up in front, though, battle for the race lead. Alan Elwood is right there at the back of Riley Thompson, battling for that top spot.
Remember how much of this is Thompson trying to save his tires, and sometimes when you try to save the tires as a leader, you end up holding up a lot of people. He's pretty much got the entire top 5 and a little bit then some stacked up behind him, but that's kind of what you have to do to try to save those tires. You got to stack people up.
So patience versus go time. I think we're a long way from the latter. There's really no reason for Elwood to be conservative in any way, really. He's just racking up wins. He's got the points lead by a huge margin. He's got 3 more wins than anybody else. The next most is 2 by Riley Thompson in front of him. So I don't know if there's really much pressure here, and Riley Thompson might know that. There's better fights to fight, at least right now, and maybe he'll just let the 5 car go, but I don't think he's going to relinquish it just yet.
Not trying to. He wants to stay up there, but the high side, it's not there quite yet, and he's going to be wearing out the tires a little more. But he's giving him a fight, pinching him to that bottom in 3 and 4, not letting him go. Leads him. Elwood leads his first lap of the night.
Thomas Bressie watching from 3rd. Might use this opportunity to get up to the rear tailpipes of the 56. Couldn't get there though. Thompson crosses over, has a run on corner exit. He'd like to get back by, but couldn't get the drive off.
He would pull away a little bit. He's good at short run speed. He's able to pull away when he wants to. Sometimes that hurts him on long run, but he's able to make it work a lot of the time. So we'll see if he wants to pull away or he might want to stack everyone up as well.
AJ Roderick and Casey Lakatos, they've been side by side for a couple laps now. Dacuna entering the mix on board now with the 94.
Turning that wheel, trying to get to that yellow line. If you wrap that yellow line just right, you're able to make a lot of good time. It helps you make up a lot of good time when the driver's in front of you or side by side as well. I believe that's AJ Roderick, who I haven't seen in a while, and trying to pass Casey Lakatos right now.
They've been stuck like this for 3 or 4 laps. Roderick on the bottom. This has got to be a little bit frustrating. You know, we've seen this a lot in the past at Richmond and the real world, Connor, is where you kind of get stuck in this side by side running, and it becomes actually pretty much impossible to complete a pass without roughing somebody up. You just sort of end up in this eternal door-to-door battle, which is certainly fun to watch, but I'm not sure it's awesome as a driver to get stuck in this position.
No, it's definitely not fun as a driver. We do see this a lot in real life. Richmond, hard to pass, and until the track parameters got updated on this track, it was not like this at all. The top line just didn't work unless you absolutely put someone on the apron. Now, the top line used to be dominant. Now it's not. They're sort of even, as we're seeing how even it really is. If you pinch someone to that bottom, it's very hard to get past. That bottom line is probably not where you want to try to be passing people. And this is when it gets physical. When you get frustrated, can't pass on the bottom, you start getting physical with people.
Well, the good thing is that this is so early in the race, I'm not sure that the urgency is there. So Roderick and Lakatos will probably both be fairly patient. The guy behind them that might not be is Finian Dacuna. He'd like to get by both. He's faster than the majority of the drivers in front of him in the top 15 at the moment. But I don't know if he's got really anywhere to go. I don't know if you can make a third lane work, but you see Roderick diving in a little deeper there, and that tells me that he's starting to maybe get a little frustrated there.
A little loose off of turn 2, getting back to the gas. So he definitely wants by right now, and the 50's just not letting him have any of it. This is as close as he's been to getting clear. Lakatos is able to stay on that right rear just barely, and he's gonna have to stay on his outside. I think Roderick's gonna send it and have him here, though. But 50 sends it even harder.
Yeah, you can see off the left-hand side, just behind the timing stacker, that Lakatos is still there and builds the run on corner exit, but Roderick is just kind of chipping away at it here. Lakatos is starting to realize that this might be a losing battle now. It's just a quarter panel of overlap, but he's still got it.
Everyone likes the top line at Richmond is just asking Casey to stay up there. He sends it in hard. Everyone's just like, yes, get that top line worked in right now. It's going to be much more valuable to use at the end of a race. And he's making it work so far. I think the 23, if he just sends it a little harder, he can have it here. He's just barely clear. 50's going to stay on him, though, and here comes Finian.
Yeah, he's got it almost. And now Dacuna going to use that opportunity to get to the inside, but Lakatos is like the mosquito in the ear. He will not go away. And now I think Roderick's got him, and he does. And Dacuna going to be the next one to fill that gap on the inside. Teammates side by side.
Just almost got back to the 26's right rear, but wasn't able to make it work. And Finian's going to make a little bit of quick work of the 50 here, as I think Lakatos just let him by just to get back on the bottom. As we think Will Roberts going to be next in line, trying to get past the 50, and Danny Ware back there, trying to get 15 from Casey Shue, trying to recover.
So that battle fizzles. Now for second place is starting to heat up. Bresci on the tailpipes of the 56 of Riley Thompson, last week's winner in the 24 you're riding on board.
A bit of a big slide out of turn 4 there, trying to make that work. He's trying to enter a little higher in the corners and turn it down on exit. Thompson did a bit better through 1 and 2 there. So I think the 24 is trying to save tires with his line, but I don't know how much it's going to work.
There's Brad Slaughter Jr. in the number 81. Great qualifying position for him tonight. Started in 5th. Gained a spot on the reigning champion of Shane Terry, and in 5th place behind him, Michael Stroll. Runner-up from last year, right behind him now in P6, and a little bit quicker, dare I say, last time by 100 faster.
Alan Elwood's still the fastest car on track right now. He's actually pulled away to about a second lead almost as they battle for a second. As his top 3 pulled away from everyone else, Slaughter Jr. kind of on his own as the 8 car gets all on the back bumper of Shane Terry in there, as everyone's starting to spread out a little bit.
If you are running a blue oval tonight, you are a little bit lonely. You've got 2 of them back there, David Mott and Boomer Logan in the Ford, 17th and 18th. All the rest running the Chevrolet bow tie and the Toyota oval. Saw the 8 car jump into turn 1 there. Pretty strong strong lunge, but wasn't able to scare Shane Terrian away from the apex enough to keep that overlap.
Terrian realized when the 8 sent it like that, it's like, okay, I got to get away from this guy. I don't think he wants anyone near his rear bumper like that. He kind of got away from him there, and he's going after Brad Slaughter Jr. for 4th position now.
Thomas Bressy's getting pretty aggressive on those brakes. Pretty deep lunge into turn 3. And took a swing out from behind the mirrors of the 56 down the back straightaway just to let Thompson know that he's coming. And Thompson's leaving the inside lane open, maybe to try to get that a little bit more rotation by turning in a little later, but Bressy is still hounding him and keeping him busy out the mirrors.
Like, we're going to see how hard it is to make a pass. It's hard to make a pass outside the top 10. Imagine how hard it's going to be to pass for a spot in the top 3, let alone the race lead. So I think a lot of people are going to be trying to try stuff out. Bressy's definitely trying different lines, trying to see what line works best for passing. He's going to go a little bit lower, half a groove lower than Thompson through 1 and 2. Game time on entry and center, but lost pretty much all of it on exit.
Brad Slaughter Jr. real tight out of turn 2, and it's going to let Terrian take a look at the outside here. I'm not sure that there's enough grip up there yet to do that. But it's going to open the door for Michael Stroll on the bottom.
Get a bit of a run. He'll have a look into turn 1, a big dive bomb. But Slaughter Jr. starting to struggle a little bit. Terrian's able to hold it down there, but now Slaughter Jr. has him pinched on the bottom, and it's hard to get any drive off. Look, 2 side-by-side cars. Look how much Michael Stroll gained there at a 2.
And Bressy having a look at Riley Thompson here for 2nd place as well. So 2 battles, 1 for 2nd, 1 for 4th. Look at this, 3 wide almost as they come out of turn 4. Now the 8 car to the inside of the 81, and Slaughter will lose 2 spots in 1 corner. Just the nature of the beast sometimes, how things shake out.
Wasn't able to make the pass work on the 56 as he's starting to slide the tires and get a bit worse on exit here. Slaughter Jr. trying to get back to the bottom of Michael Stroll here. That was a bit of a slide job by Terrian. I didn't expect that, but he slid right up in front of the 81's nose, so that was risky because he was able to make it work.
Slaughter trying to open up the bottom to get back by the 8 car, but doesn't have the momentum to do it. There's Braxton DeWeese in the number 1. Started this race back in 9th.
He's had a good climb so far, up to 7th for now. Tyler Hensley behind him has stayed put. Pretty much not much movement at the back of the field. Really, Finnegan, I think, is the biggest mover. 5 spots, 17th and 12th. So he's making it look pretty easy so far. He's still got AJ Roderick to deal with. He's been behind him ever since he got by Lakatos.
Yeah, Dakota, again, chasing Roderick, but both of them have been actually making pretty good time. Roderick last time by was only a couple hundredths off of our race leader's pace, so there certainly is pace to be had there. Back up to 4th. Here comes Michael Stroll on Shane Terrian in the 83.
What happened? I don't know if Terrian made a mistake or maybe he's trying to top line, but the 8's getting under him now, and Terrian's not really pinching too hard as the 8 sends it into turn 1, trying to clear the 83 on corner exits. Throttles up a bit earlier. I think he'll have it.
He does. And now Thomas Bressy continues his work on the 56. That was alongside him again for 1 and 2. I think the 24 is a little better down on that end of the racetrack, but in 3 and 4 he loses it. Thompson, though, almost tagged the fence at the right rear of that car coming out of turn 4, so he's got it yawed out. He's certainly given it all he's got.
Alan Elwood 3/10 faster than those 2 last time by, so the more they battle, the bigger lead that 5 car gets, and the closer he gets to a 6th win. As Riley Thompson's actually going to try the outside. Actually, no, he's just going to let Bressy by and make sure his rear end doesn't get beat off the car.
Short-term loss, long-term gain maybe there for the 56. Moving back in the field a little bit, here comes Braxton DeWeese on the 81, who seems to be falling backwards now. This always comes down to tire degradation here, Connor, maybe not conserving enough in the early moments. David Mott Jr. hits pit lane. He's got some significant right side damage. Not sure if this is a scheduled pit stop or not.
I wouldn't think so. Maybe you could make it on through from here, but he's hit that wall a bunch of times. He might have killed that right front a bit too much.
Alan Elwood leads the way. He has led so far 24 of the 37 laps that we've completed. Thomas Bressy into 2nd place, and Michael Stroll now dealing with Shane Terrian again. These 2 have not stopped going back and forth, almost a touch there. Brad Slaughter Jr. smells the blood in the water. He's back to party.
I'm starting to see people try to run that very top line. I think that was Braxton DeWeese who's the first one to go way up, almost went to the wall. He ran so high there, and he got a run out of 4. Not able to get alongside Slaughter, but he made that top work a little bit in 3 and 4.
Let's keep an eye here on this one and see if he tries this again. He's gonna. But is it making him ground?
Aaron goes up the track as well. I don't know if that was by design. He's going to let Slaughter get under him. But look at the run that top line gets. I think Luis is trying to take a look. Now he's going to go to the inside at the very last second. That outside out of turn 4, starting to get runs off the corner. 1 and 2 is not looking the same quite yet, though.
Yeah, Slaughter turned down on corner exit, but found the one car to his inside. He powers up off the corner, but can't clear the one car. And Braxton DeWeese almost clear. Now can the 81 return the favor on the outside this time through? Not sure he's going to have the tire to do it. And he gets into the fence.
It wasn't a big tap, luckily, as Mott Jr. did retire from this race. It wasn't a big tap, but the right front's going to be crinkled for the rest of this race. But DeWeese finally gets that spot.
Yeah, here's another look at it. Just comes up off the corner, just scrapes it. Bounces the car off the safer barrier. Very slight impact, but an impact nonetheless, and he'll drop to 7th after initially moving forward to 4th.
I think Arian's also trying to get that middle to top line working in 3 and 4. He's not working it as well as DeWeese looked to be, and I think he might have still gained a little bit on Stroll at a 4, but I don't know how much it's working quite yet.
So things have sort of calmed down here in the early stages of the Fuel Mission 22 Premier Series regular season finale. We've got a handful of races still to come, about a month's worth of racing. Finish out the season on May 4th, and again, the announcement the last couple weeks, SimTV will no longer cover the Fuel Mission 22 Premier Series come the end of the season, as moving away from broadcasting on weekday nights. The new broadcaster, I don't believe has been announced yet, but I'm excited for them and root for the continued success of the Fuel Mission 22 Premier Series. If you're interested, you can check out fuelrl.com to learn how to join for the future season. Other stuff coming up on SimTV this week. Of course, tomorrow night, the Spec MX-5 Sim Racing Challenge. We'll be hosting that on the Winding Road Magazine channel. We'll be joined by Grid Life Touring Cup driver and an all-around good guy, DJ Alessandrini. Tom O'Gorman will be out of town. Thursday night, it'll be the Scars, Super Trofeo, and Lamborghini Challenge, as well as Prototype Challenge. That will be their season finale at Circuit de la Sarthe at Le Mans, hosted by Finney and DeCuna. And then Saturday, the Outsider Racing League is going to be off this week, I believe, for Martinsville. Am I right?
Yes, I believe so.
So that's going to be pushed back a week because of that scheduling difference. Here's Brian Chambliss, AJ Roderick, and now Finney DeCuna. Three-way battle for 10th.
I think Chambliss has fallen back to these guys. Has a little right front damage, but really not too much. He's just really worn the right front out, I believe. And Roderick's been able to make some good time. He's been able to keep Finney behind him for pretty much this entire race since the Cottas got by him. Finney clips the apron a little bit there, so at least 3 under a blanket, trying to get that top 10 spot.
Yeah, and I think we're starting to close in on everyone's probably looking at their fuel window and seeing when they can make it, and I think we're getting close to that point. This will probably just be a one-stop race, and I'm thinking we're going to see stops at around lap 60 to lap 80, I would imagine. I don't think you'd come in too much earlier than that. I don't think you could come too much later than that if that's your strategy. Or you could try to stop twice and see if the tires will get you there. But, Connor, I'm not seeing a ton of drop-off. I'm not really sure taking tires twice is really the strategy.
All-off's just over only 1 second, so I don't think pitting that early. You'd want to pit on lap 50. You'd want to pit in 2 laps if you wanted to make that work, and the tire difference isn't really there. Probably see people pit around lap 76, the lap after the halfway points are given out. So if it does go that far green to about 20, 30 more laps, but that's probably when we see the majority of the field come down.
Here's Danny Ware and the 4-car of Casey Shu. This is for 15th. Hotly contested battle between 2 slightly damaged race cars. Remember, the 4 of Casey Shu with this new sponsor, this Raise Energy. Great looking car. Nice spec map applied to that thing. Had some initial success this season, but has since had some bad luck. And looking at the results, Casey Shu, whoa, that was a little sketchy down there in turns 1 and 2. Gets run up the racetrack. Last week, though, at Talladega, ran 3rd, which was his only top 5, actually make that only top 10. Make that, check that, only top 15 of the season last week at Talladega. So I think he's looking forward to maybe finishing off the season on a high note.
Yeah, that's not going to work if he's going to keep getting hip checks from Danny Ware, though. Ware just missed the bottom there. So he's definitely had a rough go of things, but that paint scheme hopefully can get him up to the front for us. He's trying to gain some time. Definitely didn't help that he got booted there a little bit, running 16th, trying to stay on the lead lap. Because Alan Elwood is just setting a blistering pace right now. He's in the turn 3 already, still gaining time on Brescia as well, up to a 3-second lead.
Here's Braxton DeWeese having a look at Shane Terrian into turn 3. This is an unlikely battle that I didn't see happening quite so soon. Finney DeCuna by Brian Chambliss. Chambliss dropped a spot. Will Roberts and Casey Licata all changing. So while it was a quiet moment for a few minutes, it looks like things have spiced back up.
Yeah, 83's still trying to get that top line to work. He actually got a good run out of turn 2 there. He's still trying to get the middle work, and it's all he's running right now. It's just not as fast as the bottom right now, I believe. But the 83's definitely trying. It got more people trying to move up there as well. But it's almost there, but just not quite.
Whoop, here comes Lakatos. Trying to do the over-under on Will Roberts out of turn 4, and will be able to try to get the quarter down there, and he will, but I think Roberts going to drive it in a little deeper.
The run off of turn 2 as well, and it's going to clear him right back. So this is the struggling point. This is exactly what AJ Roderick was dealing with when he was under Lakatos. Now Lakatos is in the sort of the same boat where he's kind of stuck in 14th, stuck behind Will Roberts.
So you see there is Brent Jones, the number 89, the last driver on the lead lap, and there is Alan Elwood. In the backdrop, you see Stroll, Terrien, and Braxton Deweese. Deweese is on a wow, Shane Terrien's in deep into turn 3. Is that going to work? It didn't look like it.
To run off. I don't think that's really what he wanted to do. Maybe he'll find something there, but I'm not sure that's the line you want to run. Also, I think Brent Jones is actually 2 down. He did come down to pit road. Boomer Logan, the last driver on the lead lap right now.
Ah, correct. Yes, Brent Jones is 2 laps down. Shane Terrien thundering into turn 3, trying this upper groove. It's not working. He hasn't lost his spot. And look at the ground he's gaining. Maybe he's discovering something here.
Yeah, that's what I kind of realized when these grip strips got laid down. They didn't do much to the middle. They really put them on the top. Like, for example, Chicagoland, it's mainly the wall you want to be running, not really the middle.
Oh! Riley Thompson almost catch the fence out of turn 2. That was awful close.
Oh, Terrien is sending it so hard into the corner right now. He's sort of making it work, but he kind of lost a little bit on entrance, but he gains it back on exit into turn 1. And meanwhile, as he's trying to get by the 8, Riley Thompson's really falling off.
Yeah, he almost smacked the fence at the exit of turn 2. Was really close to it. And big slide there again. He's struggling right now. Initial pace, but I just don't think he's got. I mean, he had a heck of a qualifying lap. I just don't think he's got the pace to back it up. Shane Terrien is taking a very unorthodox line, and Deweese is sort of following him now as he sees the potential. Riley Thompson hits pit lane.
Bit early. He obviously doesn't need stage points or anything like that, so he obviously doesn't have to play for points. Trying to get the undercut on Alan Elwood because he was really struggling as the tires got older. It's probably the best move he could have made. Yeah, and again, a little bit earlier than I was expecting for the pit window. Braxton Deweese is down low. Is he going to come to pit lane? No. But Shane Terrien finding some more pace in that upper groove. He's discovering something. And he's going fast right now. He went almost as quick as the race leaders that last lap. Oh, tried to move up in 3 and 4. He moved in the middle and kind of hurt the 83's run there. We'll see if the 83 still tries to top. It might be a guessing game now. Stroke wants to take his lane away. He goes at the bottom now. Terrien goes high as Deweese tries to look under the 83, but he won't have a run.
AJ Roderick now dealing with Finian DeCuna behind him. This is a battle now for 9th place. Terrien way high, and if he keeps opening up that door, if Deweese can get a little bit better run into the corner, he's got to be careful that he doesn't chop the nose off that one car who has had a pretty good night. Started 9th up to 5th and continues his climb, looking at 4th place here in a moment if he can just get that 83 in a bad spot.
Matter if the 8 gets passed, he can go after Michael Stroll here. As Terrien doesn't want to pass him. I think he could have, wow, he really sent it far there. He could have gone bottom there, but he really wants that top line. He wants to make a pass on the top, and he might have a chance to cut bottom if he wants, but Stroll won't let him have it. He's finally going to cut to the bottom and see if he can make that work.
Oh, that's a big dive. Can he hang on?
Not quite.
Wow, that was really close. This is a great battle for 3rd place, all happening right behind Michael Stroll. These two fought for the championship last season. You could include 2nd place Thomas Bressi in that battle, and while Stroll isn't really in a championship position this year, he certainly is battling for a race win tonight, but has 7 seconds to make up to go run down Elwood. Here is Deweese to the inside of Terrien finally.
Yeah, the 8 really stacked up in 1 and 2, and that really hurt Terrien's drive off, so it's going to give Deweese a chance to get by him. Almost went for a slider in front of the 83, but wasn't able to make it work, but he'll stay on the bottom of Terrien here, and Stroll will kind of block the 83 a little bit. They might be 3 wide for a split second.
Yeah, you got to pick a line at some point. He was sort of in the middle, and they were going to split him 3, as you mentioned. But I think Deweese is going to see an opportunity to get alongside this 83. The problem is he needs the racetrack where the 8 car is, or not. He's going to clear the 83 car.
Bit of a slide job there. The 83 is going to try to get him right back on the bottom. We'll see if he can clear him. Michael Stroll, see what lane he picks this time. He'll give the 83 the bottom. 83 dives in hard again, hard on the brakes in the center of the one bumps him up the racetrack there. Bit aggressive for this early in the race, but he's going to get that 4th position back.
Yeah, I think that was he just probably timed a little bit wrong, and the 83 is going to pay back the favor there as they come out of turn 4. Just the slightest of taps, but Deweese is through.
I don't know, Wood's already lapping more drivers. He lapped Brent Jones for a third time there. He's lapped Danny Ware for the first time, I believe, there, as Casey Shue went 2 down because he made actually a scheduled pit stop. So we're starting to see him get into lap traffic. He's got to be careful of that.
So as quickly as that battle for third got hot, it has since been extinguished with one car splitting the 83 and the 8. Thompson is the only driver that has made a pit stop, and he's making up ground right now. But this is a pretty sizable undercut, so I'm not convinced that this is a great long-term strategy. Maybe in the short term he could get lucky with a caution, put himself in a good spot, but right now I'm not exactly thrilled with how this is panning out.
Yeah, he had no other choice, really. He was going to lose a ton of spots if he tried to make it to halfway. So you get some track position, see if you can hold on to it, see if you can catch a caution after everyone else pits. So it's a strategy he had to kind of play here, but I don't know how much it's going to work, especially with how hard he is on his tires, at least how hard he was last run.
Making ways through the lead lap traffic at the moment. Braxton Deweese catching the 8-car of Stroll at the exit of turn 4. And I don't think Stroll is taking quite a different line as the 1. Look at that 56 slot between them down in turns 1 and 2.
And meanwhile, as Brad Thompson goes by these two, you see it's only Stroll and Braxton Deweese. You see Taryn was trying to make the top line work. Look how hard it's really hit him. I think the right front tire's given out on him, and he's losing a bunch of time to those two.
Yeah, I have to wonder if is the tire about to go flat. He's 3/10 off the race leader, and you typically, before you see tires go flat here in iRacing, you typically get a couple laps where it's just atrocious and you can't turn. And the 83, I can't tell if he's got that or if he's just continuing to want to run high, but his lap times have significantly dropped the last few times.
He was actually faster than the two in front of him last time, but he lost a lot of time, and I can't imagine he's going to be able to run on that right front for much longer. So he went to the bottom that time. Meanwhile, we haven't even really been talking about the battle for 6, but Brad Slaughter Jr., Tyler Hensley, they've been battling left and right the entire run, back half of this run. They've been all over each other.
Yeah, Tyler Hensley in the 44. Another driver that had a really solid result last week, comes into the night, looking down the order, 15th in the points, finished 4th last week, which was his best finish. His other best was at 6th back at Sonoma. But otherwise, it's been a tough season for Tyler, but tonight would be a pretty solid run if you could keep it going and maybe crack up inside the top 5.
Solid. Hasn't ran enough races, I don't believe, to make the chase, but he still had a good season, had strong runs whenever he does run, so just trying to get some momentum to the end of the year.
Luis continuing to hound the tailpipes of the 8-car of Michael Stroll, and ran a little faster than him last time by. But Alan Elwood continues to be, other than the driver Riley Thompson, who has already made a pit stop, Alan Elwood continues to be the fastest driver on the racetrack. As we near halfway, and he'll pat himself with some bonus points and then probably hit pit lane.
What's odd is that even the leader, who's 3.5 seconds ahead, is not immune to making mistakes. He's got some right front damage, just a little bit. Won't affect him too much, but he has hit the wall a little bit as Will Roberts pits.
Yeah, he comes down pit lane after a battle with Casey Lakatos. He's immediately going to go a lap down as Elwood crosses the line to complete lap number 73. 2 to go till halfway. And Slaughter Jr., Tyler Hensley, as you mentioned, that battle hasn't gone away in the last few laps, and I don't think it's going to go away anytime soon.
Yeah, people trying to join the fun. I don't think Kate Pistorius and AJ Roderick are going to be able to get there in time, but they've been lurking behind that battle for a while now as Deweese. He actually has a good run out of 2 on Michael Stroll, but he got too loose. That one just can't find a way by Stroll.
Oops, caught the fence a little bit on the entrance to turn number 3, just trying to widen out that corner just a touch. Himself in a tough spot. Deweese opens the door to the inside of Stroll down in turn 1.
Deweese is going to really send it hard. Same thing Taryn was trying to do. See if he can make it work. Stroll's going to get that run off the top, though, and just be able to clear him right back. And
Finney DeCuna hits pit lane in the 94 right before halfway to try to undercut by a lap. I like that strategy a lot for Finney, who was chasing down some traffic. And halfway, Alan Elwood, Bressie, Stroll, Deweese, Terry in your top 5. And now I think we're going to see a massive horde of drivers hit pit lane as the 8 and 1 are still side by side through 1 and 2.
Deweese might have gotten into him a little bit there. It was pretty close. I think Deweese is going to pit here. Look how hard he got on the brakes. He's going to try to undercut Stroll. Make sure you don't miss that cone, though.
Yeah, pretty conservative entry, all things considered, actually. I'm surprised he committed that early, but he is going to come on down and pit right at the halfway mark, or just past it. So Thompson, DeCuna, Deweese, the first takers on pit lane, and I'd expect everybody else. Are they just going to run the tank out of fuel?
surprised if Elwood did that. I don't see a reason to do that. Bressy's, I think, going to hit pit lane here. So I think we're going to see a lot of people trying to undercut Elwood if he doesn't get into pit lane.
Yeah, I mean, the undercut is really only worth about 1.3 seconds. Michael Stroll comes on down. Thomas Bressy going to hit pit lane in the 24. I just don't think an undercut is going to do anything for you when Elwood had the lead that he had. You're really going to need a caution flag and some luck to take Elwood out of the top spot in this race. He is just so good, and he's built himself a little bit of a cushion that he can use tonight, and I think he's earned it at this point.
Yeah,
there's 56 of Riley Thompson about to unlap himself.
Elwood, he's also going conservative. No one really wants to stay on the track. You do run the risk of kind of getting rear-ended. We almost hit the pit wall there. You kind of run the risk of getting rear-ended if you try to do an aggressive entry and stay on the track. I think that's really where you need to be conservative and just make sure you hit pit lane.
So Riley Thompson should actually cycle to be the race leader, but for how long is the question. And he might be banking on the fact that the tires aren't wearing out all that much, so if he can get the lead and have it be significant now, he could probably hold on until the caution flag comes out a little later in the race, but you will need a caution, otherwise you are going to get run back down. As Thompson is in turn 1. Where is the 5 car of Elwood? Still on pit lane. This could be a pretty sizable lead, though, here, Connor.
I don't think he. Trying to make sure he didn't speed.
No, 15.1 second stop. I mean, it's going to be almost a third of a lap lead for Riley Thompson. Now, how quickly is that going to go away? Probably vary. But it's going to take a little longer to get back to this 56 than I originally had thought.
This is really when Riley Thompson would like to see a yellow. We'll have to wait and see. As Terrian's on the racetrack, still in the lead. He actually just really held up Thomas Bressy. So that's going to hurt Bressy a little bit as the 83 just continues to make laps. Pistorius, Chambliss, Thompson, who also Thompson obviously pit. Brad Slaughter Jr. might have just gotten to the wall there.
A.J. Roderick hits pit lane, so he will probably give up the spot that he was fighting. He will give up the spot he was fighting with Finney and DeCuna. So Riley Thompson is going to have about a 10-second lead over Alan Elwood in the number 5. Now, he's got almost half the race left to go. I mean, it's not looking good for the long term, but if we get a caution in 20 or 25 laps, Connor, he might be still the leader.
He's only 10 seconds behind Shane Terrian. I would have thought he would have been behind someone like Terrian or Stroll by way more, but he's actually, he's actually at a decent clip where he'll be far ahead of guys like Shane Terrian and Michael Stroll, so it might work out for him. Maybe he will stay where he was. I don't know if he'll gain spots, but it doesn't look like the worst strategy right now.
No, it certainly doesn't. There's the 44 of Tyler Hensley and the 3 of Will Roberts. This is for position for 13th on track.
I believe these two did pit. Obviously, Hensley did. He wasn't lap down.
They have both made their pit stops. Everybody except for Michael Stroll, Casey Lakatos, and all of the top 3 as Will Roberts fights the car off the corner. That was a heck of a big slide.
Stroll has pit. I think, I'm trying to see, that was a big slide. I don't know how he was able to save it. Those cold tires, they shouldn't be too cold, but he's definitely heating them up.
Look at that out of turn number 4, getting it full-on lock in a slide. As Stroll and DeWeese fight for 9th.
Big battle. You really want this position if you're DeWeese. You've been behind the 8 car for pretty much the entire race. You got to find a way to get by him at some point. I don't know where DeWeese got the front end damage. Maybe he did get into a back bumper of Stroll at one point, but Stroll has no damage to the bumper, so I highly doubt that.
Top 3 still have yet to pit. Terry and Pistorius and Chambliss have not come down pit lane just yet. Casey Lakatos in the 50. Has not pit, and neither has Danny Ware in the 19. Everybody else has made their stop as Brian Chambliss loses spot to Riley Thompson. That was for position. Now Thompson's lead, I should note, has already come down to about 7 seconds over Alan Elwood, so it's going down pretty quickly here in traffic.
Brian Chambliss just pits immediately as Riley Thompson gets by him. I think someone else just pit. That was Casey Lakatos finally coming in for his stop, so that lead won't last too long. And if he gets past in like 10 laps, that was really close.
That was Hayden Pistorius. He's all out of shape, still has yet to pit, hoping for a caution flag maybe. And Shane Terrian will need to pit the next couple of laps. And he's backing up the field here behind the 94 DeCuna and Slaughter. This is for position. Finney DeCuna has a bunch of damage on the nose of that car.
Where that came from. Also, Slaughter really lost time on his pit stops. I don't know how he got all the way back to 12th, but that's a big loss because he was running well. As, like you said, Taryn stacked up the field there, basically, and he's going to let a few people by. He still has AJ Roderick and Boomer Logan to let by. As Slaughter Jr. is going to get by Dakuna here for that position as the leader, about to get bumped out of the way.
Yeah, Terrian getting moved around. Dakuna loses a spot to Brad Slaughter Jr. I don't know where the 94 got all that damage from, but it certainly is a bunch. But Terrian, as soon as he loses, if he loses the lead here to Riley Thompson, there's not much else to stay out for. I just don't think we're going to. I think we're going to go caution free tonight, Connor. We had, 91 laps of green flag running. What makes me think it's going to change now? Nothing.
Found culprit. Boomer Logan has a bunch of rear end damage. I'm pretty sure Finney Dakuna got into the back of him while getting by him, so there's that happening. As Danny Ware looks really slow on the track. I don't think he has a tire down, just really slow on the track. I think this is when the caution would happen. You have drivers staying out, like Shane Terrian on old tires, getting moved around. That's probably the highest risk we're going to have out of yellow. But once everyone pits and has new tires, I don't think it's going to be that big of a deal.
Wow, Boomer Logan chopped the nose off of Tyler Hensley into turn number 3. That was a little dicey. Brent Jones on the outside, 2 laps down.
Notice this was Casey Shue retired from the race at some point because he's 27 down. Don't know when that happened. Didn't have much damage. But
no, probably called it a night after having a little bit of damage. That can be frustrating. Here's Danny Ware with Boomer Logan trying to get some spots back. This is not for position, but move him forward one car further on the racetrack. Tyler Hensley is not racing the 85, but you wouldn't know that by how aggressively they're diving in on each other right now.
He wants to get by him. I'm sure he would rather try to get to someone up in front of him like Finney. And AJ Roderick's also a lap down. I think he might have lost position. It's not quite sure, but I can't imagine Hensley's really happy about a lap car holding him up, but that's just what happens. He's really nowhere to go at Richmond sometimes.
Well, Alan Elwood just got by Riley Thompson. That didn't take very long. I don't know how he did that fast, but he did, and moved Alan Elwood up to 3rd.
I was not expecting that. I thought it would be at least maybe 5 more laps, but he's just able to motor right by him as he almost gets into the back of Pistorius there. He's just going to be able to get away from the 56, and we'll see what he does with Thomas Bressi. Thomas Bressi was actually 2 tenths faster that time by. Bressi's trying to drive hard to get to him. Only about 1.5 seconds behind him, but it's a lot of time to make up, especially with how fast Elwood's been.
Hayden Pistorius losing a spot. One of the 3 drivers that has not yet hit pit lane, those including Shane Terrian, Pistorius, and Danny Ware. Caution free so far as Terrian hits pit lane.
96 laps. That's the most we've seen out of anyone, but we will still have some people trying to stay out. I think Brian Chambliss has hit pit lane, so that really leaves Nate Pistorius for the most part.
Yeah, just Pistorius and Danny Ware in the 19 have yet to pit. There's Thomas Bressi running down Riley Thompson. This would be a battle for 2nd, and something tells me it's not going to be much of a battle, just the tires very, very far gone on Thompson's car. 39 laps in to this run, make it 40 now. Bressi has half that much.
Rick came in that time, so that only leaves about 2 cars left. Bressi's not going to really have to waste much time getting around Thompson by for the 2nd position now, so we'll see if he can do anything with the 5, but Elwood's just been so consistently strong all race, it'll be hard to really get to him.
Pistorius has come on down pit lane, as you mentioned. Danny Ware is the last driver on the racetrack to have yet to pit.
Lap down anyways, so this is going to be a really rough finish if he can't have something happen for him.
Vinny Dakuna, whoa, 44 cars in the fence out of turn 4. He rode it for a while.
Sorry about that. He still hasn't gotten by Boomer Logan. He's fighting him hard. Boomer Logan, he might finally have the 85 passed here. He's finally going to be able to make it work. He's got better tires than Finney, so he might just get by that 94 machine soon enough.
Now here's a look at it. He was on the outside of the 85 into turn 3. And throttles up, and the car's probably going to kick out. Well, he's just going to ride up. It kind of gets run into the fence there just a little bit. And now he's got that pass complete in the 94 car. Dakuna next on the chopping block. That would be for position for 7th. 50 laps to go here at Richmond.
It's starting to get a bit more, it's even more spread out than it was earlier. Got battles here and there. That's the 83 trying to get in front of the 50. I believe that should be for position. Yes, it is. That is for the 12th position as Terry's trying to recover after trying to play the long game. here. He's still a lap down. He's got to unlap himself or else he's going to get back if the yellow came out.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe this is so far overcut. I think we need more laps for this to work. I don't really see this doing Terry any good. I mean, he's a long way a lap down too. Andy needs to go around, drive around an entire other lap to just catch the people he was battling before. I'm not convinced that was the greatest strategy ever, but maybe points to burn, maybe?
He was locked in, so it's not like he needed to really do anything points-wise. It would help if he finished ahead of people like Bresci and Stroll and guys like that, because he'd get more bonus points into the chase, but you know, he really wasn't in a risky situation. Might as well try something, see if it works. And if it doesn't work, oh well.
Here's Tyler Hensley on Dacuna for 7th.
Be able to make this work pretty easily soon enough, as he's going to give him a lot of room on the top line here, and 94 is going to send it. Can't really make it work quite yet. The 44 can at least, but he's going to get a better run off of 2. Not quite clear yet.
Side by side down the backstretch, Dacuna and Hensley for P7. Going to try to roll that outside groove. So now that we're about 105 laps into this race, your thoughts on the groove changes, the adjustments iRacing made in today's patch? It seems to me like they've sort of captured the essence of Richmond pretty darn good.
Yeah, it's hard to pass. Like, it's not just, you know, it's not unrealistic for it to be hard to pass. We know how hard it is to pass at Richmond, whether it's high downforce or low downforce. It's just a tough track to pass, and that's what gives it its reputation for kind of being very difficult and very frustrating. So before it was top dominant after the updates today, it looks all right. I think the top line could maybe be a little bit better, but that might be a bit too unrealistic. But all in all, provided good racing. We've seen people try to run the wall, try to run in the middle, and obviously seen a majority of the field wrap that yellow line, so it hasn't done too badly so far.
Chambliss and Will Roberts fighting for 9th. Not much of a fight, though. Chambliss on 15-lap fresher tires.
He's trying everything he can to get to Alan Elwood, but he's been losing time, little time. He lost a 10th of time before. This time it's about just under a 10th, so he's just consistently losing time. About 2.3 seconds behind Alan Elwood now.
Danny Ware finally hitting pit lane. It took him 106 laps to come on down to pit road.
And he used up the car doing that too, no doubt about it. Front end's off of it, right front's pretty dinged up. No damage on the rear though just yet, so he's done a good job not getting hit by anyone, even though he was way off the pace with everyone pitting.
All right, well, I can't afford to employ Larry Mack, so your thoughts on the chances that we get a caution flag in the next 40 laps?
I don't have any race trends. I'm sorry, I didn't write those up for you, but this is usually it gets pretty spread out. If there's going to be a yellow, it'll probably be about somewhere under 10 to go if I had to guess. That's really when people try to get the most aggressive with how people race each other. But right now, I mean, it's spread out. Don't have many battles on the track. Top 2 are pretty much on their own. Riley Thompson's falling back to... He's actually already been passed, has he? No, he hasn't been passed, but Stroll and DeWeese will get to him eventually. You got Brad Slaughter Jr. behind DeWeese. You got a bunch of battles that could be brewing, but there's really not much to be worried about. Everyone's all over the track right now.
40 laps to go here at Richmond. Alan Elwood has led 81 of them, the 110 that we've completed. Thomas Bresci 2nd, Thompson 3rd, then Stroll, DeWeese. That's the battle you're watching now, the closest one on the racetrack. And as before, I think DeWeese is a hair quicker, but he's having to be a bit more strategic about where he's placing the car, where Stroll seems to make decent time without having to try very hard. He's just kind of sticking to the same groove every lap.
Yeah, I think he might be trying to save the tires and then have a run at Stroll. I can't imagine he's really pushing him too hard with still 40, just under 40 laps to go. I think he has been quicker for the majority of the race, but like we keep talking about, it's just so hard to pass at a track like this without using the bumper. I don't think DeWeese wants to use the bumper.
There was smoke on the back straightaway. Who was that? Brent Jones potentially in the 89? I think it might be.
Yeah,
yes.
No one looked slow. I think he actually might have spun.
Yeah, let's have a look.
That a turn 2.
This is down into turn number 1.
Up back a little bit behind Will Roberts.
Yep, just gets on throttle and loops it around and catches the inside fence. Does a good job keeping it below that yellow line, so it's off course. And we stay green as Terrian and Chambliss trade spots. Move Terrian back inside the top 10, but still a long ways to go to be back where he was before.
still not on the lead lap. He will be the lucky dog as it stands right now, but that being said, Finian's almost about to get lapped, so he's got to hurry and make sure he stays, either unlaps himself or stays in that lucky dog position, as Brent Jones will probably be the third retirement from the race. He was struggling a lot. He joins David Mott Jr. and Casey Shue in the garage.
Hayden Pistorius, Will Roberts, they've gone back and forth a couple times. Pistorius, though, going to be driving away on fresher tires.
No, we didn't really talk about the points much, but pretty much everyone who's in the top 10 is pretty much in. But one person who didn't run today is Nick Maskey, because I think he's quarantining with COVID somewhere, so he wasn't able to make the race. You probably drop out of the top 10. And if you're outside the top 10, you need to participate in 80% of the races, and he hasn't done that, so he wouldn't be able to make it. That would move Case Lacatus into the top 10, and Danny Ware would be 11th, and I think, if I'm correct, that would put Hayden Pistorius into the final wildcard spot.
Yeah, I think you're right about that, and Pistorius has had a decent resurgence in speed lately, so it'll put him in a good position to grab some spots in the late going here in the season. But realistically, Connor, in terms of the championship picture, the top four that we really mentioned between Elwood, Bressie, Thompson, and the 83 of Shane Terry, and those are the four we're going to be really watching for the rest of the season. Yeah, yes, there are 12 people in the Fuel Finals, but unless something magical happens, you're not going to win the championship from 12th place on the grid in the Fuel Finals. So really the four that I mentioned are really the guys to watch. I think we could easily see an upset and have someone beat Alan Elwood. I would put my money on it being Thompson or Bressie over Shane Terrian. But the problem I'm seeing with that, Connor, is that Alan Elwood is showing himself tonight to be the best driver out there again. It would be for the 6th time if he stays out in the lead for another 31 laps.
Talk about how good he is on short tracks. One at Nashville, one at New Hampshire, one at Rockingham, and if we look at the schedule, look at the tracks coming up. You got Dover coming up, not much of a short track, but it's pretty short. You got Vegas, he's won at 1.5 miles, swept Charlotte, and then we got Martinsville, which is going to be, I think, really huge for him. That second to last race is going to be big for him to maybe dominate that one. Then another 1.5 miles, Chicagoland at night. So he's got tracks that he's dominated at coming up in these chase races, so I think he is definitely the man to beat, and it's going to be hard to beat him.
Yeah, for sure, and he just has continued to elevate his performance all year long, and he's moving into a management role here in the Fuel Mission 22 Premier Series 4 next season alongside Michael Stroll, so kind of taking the reins a little bit, which is really exciting. But I'm excited for the future of Fuel, and Alan Elwood is it. Riley Thompson also has seen some advances in performance and now is a legitimate championship contender this season around, as Will Roberts. And he's going to hit pit lane for the 2nd time. I wasn't really expecting that.
Waltz, who already has some wrecks like Evans, but I feel like he's had that for a while. So it's interesting. Maybe he didn't fuel the car up, but that's going to be unfortunate. Going to lose some spots as Logan might hit the wall in front of a leader. And looking at Terrian's times, he's only around a tenth and a half faster than the 5 of Elwood, so it's going to be hard to unlap himself.
Talking about a driver that we talked a lot about at the beginning of the race but haven't mentioned since, is Finian D'Acuna. He's running inside the top 10 right now after starting back in 17th. Not sure what the qualifying situation was, but he's 6th in the points. He gained 2 spots after Talladega last week. It's been a surprisingly very solid season. It was a little shaky at the start. 10th and 7th was his first 2 races, but then it was 12th, 14th, 11th, 26th from Rockingham all the way to the first Charlotte race. Then 7th, 5th, a 10th last week at Talladega, just with the notable omission of Nashville from the top 10s. Had a surprisingly good season. I think he'll be happy with this run tonight. He's eked out more top 10s than most other people have. So he's in a good spot, I think, just to finish the season on a high note inside the top 5.
Up surviving. A lot of the times he gets good finishes because he's able to survive. He's usually top 10 speed, but once he gets those better finishes, it's usually about surviving, avoiding people beating and bagging on each other at the front. He's able to make that car look pretty clean by the end of the race. Obviously this race, it doesn't have the cleanest car, but he's been able to survive, stay in the top 10, lap down albeit, but still top 10. So he's been really one of the more consistent drivers in these top 10 in points. So he's definitely been very solid. Definitely did better than I expected him to do. So I'm pretty stoked to see him up there.
Yeah, maybe Shane Terrian wasn't going out with the strategy with the anticipation of having it really pan out all the way, but this seems to me like a pretty big strategy blunder to stay out that long. He's about to go a lap down again. And so, he might get 1 or 2 more spots, but he's not going to be running anywhere near where he started this race. I would say that had he pit with the other cars, he would be battling for a top 5 spot, but nowhere near that right now, Connor. I'd call that a mistake, and that's worrying.
Did just unlap himself from Alan Elwood, so we'll see if he gets lapped again, but I don't know if that would be happening. He'll just stay on the tail end of the lead lap. You look at the time he lost, he definitely lost a bunch of time. He's about 9 seconds off of Michael Stroll, who he was battling with right before everyone else pit. And the only good thing about this is that he didn't lose too many spots. He was only in, I think, the 5th position, and he's only back to 8th. So not the worst finish position-wise, but he gave up way too much time trying to make that work. I think he should have hit 10, 15, maybe even 20 laps earlier than that.
Coming up on 20 laps to go now. Looking forward to the rest of the season. Again, we head to the Monster Mile next week to kick off the Fuel Finals. That track is scary, not only in the sim, but in the real world as well. You know, a lot of the races this season have been about surviving. Think about the road courses, thinking about Talladega, Daytona. I think Dover's another one that you look at that and you circle and say, I just need to make it through this race.
And yeah, we've seen it ruin championship runs before. It absolutely took Bailey Turner out of the points. It really hurt AJ Travado's chances in the Outsiders Racing League last season. It really, you know, because we saw the racing there being very aggressive, some people trying to put payback on each other. It's a scary track like we talk about, so anything can happen there. Riley Thompson hit the wall a little bit, but anything can happen at a track like Dover. It's one of the craziest tracks. It's always prone for a big wreck here or there. So I think Alan Elwood, if he survives Dover, he's in a good spot.
Ryan Chambliss, Hayden Pistorius. This will be for 10th position. Pistorius on much fresher tires. I'm not sure how close to the battle this is going to be. Pistorius throttles up. He should be able to go right by.
Finally got a battle for 3rd again. Riley Thompson's finally been caught by Michael Stroll. Braxton DeWeese has fallen off of Stroll a little bit, but the 8 machine's trying to get into that top 3 position. Much fresher tires.
And should be able to make pretty short work of this 56 car. Down the inside into turn number 1. Thompson's strategy, I will say that this was bold, but it hasn't completely failed him. I mean, he's still inside the top 5, and remember, he dropped out of it before, or almost dropped out of it before he came to pit lane. So if he could just hang on to 5th, which he might be able to do once Braxton DeWeese passes him and the next car back is Brad Slaughter Jr., I would not call that a mistake.
It worked for him. He was really struggling on old tires. I just hope he can survive these last 20 or so laps with older tires as well, because he's been on these tires much longer than the last set. So he's been able to make this run work so far, and I think it won't be the worst strategy in the world. I don't think he would have done any better if he pit with the leader, Elwood. So I think he definitely made the right call.
Up front, Alan Elwood continues to lap with really no threat in sight unless we were to get a caution flag, and even then I'd put the odds in his favor given the restarts here sort of favoring the race leader. Not a lot of time to make to launch an attack on someone after they've sort of dominated the entire race. I'd say that he's in pretty safe hands right now.
Yeah, really, the only work he really had to do was getting by Riley Thompson at the beginning, and then he pretty much set sail on the rest of the field. The only thing that could really kill him is speeding on pit road if a yellow came out, or just getting moved out of the way. I don't think anyone's really willing to move him out of the way, but that would probably be the only way you're going to beat Alan Elwood anytime today.
Riley Thompson losing a spot to Braxton DeWeese. I wouldn't fight it a whole lot if I was him. I don't think you're going to win this. You're just sort of delaying the inevitable. He lifts out of the throttle there for just a moment. It's 3.7 back to Brad Slaughter Jr. If he drops much farther beyond 6th, I would say that this was probably a mistake. But if he stays here, it kind of draws it even here.
I think Slaughter Jr. also did overcut by a good amount. Shane Terrian as well, and he's 3 seconds behind Brad Slaughter Jr. So I don't think Terrian's going to have a shot at him. Slaughter might, but I don't think Terrian's going to make it work as the 5 starts to continue to just dominate. I'm sorry, I cut the Casey's shoe. His car's caught fire in his pit stall.
Oh, man.
Get the fire extinguisher out there. What are y'all doing?
Yeah, left the motor running and got out and walked away, and it's overheated and now detonated. And it creates a bit of a distraction. If you're, I don't know if you can get a good view of this, probably not, but as you come around the racetrack, you're going to see this smoke cloud coming out of turn number 4, and that's got to be a little bit of a distraction. Let's try to find someone that's running all by themselves. Here's Stroll. Come out of turn 4 to see the smoke.
A little bit. You see it a little bit. It doesn't really get to the track, though.
12 laps to go, counting them down. No other major battles on the track at the moment. It's been pretty standard affair tonight. Alan Elwood has not looked back, and he has led 110 of the 139 laps we've completed.
You really can't do any better than this, really. He didn't lead all the laps, but when he got to the lead, he never looked back, and he's just been, once again at a short track, he's just been above the rest, and no one's been able to touch him. 4 seconds ahead of Bresci. Really not a care in the world, really. Doesn't have much lap traffic to deal with. Just kind of been riding behind Hensley for a while now. Just pretty much just about almost a perfect race. Still got 10 more to go.
Yeah, only about 3 minutes worth of racing. Finney DeCuna just got passed and left alone by Hayden Pistorius. Brian Chambliss is running him down with about 15 lap fresher tires. Thomas Bresci up to second. The more I see this car climb up the order, the more I'm thinking that he's a championship threat. I mean, think about his position right now in the points. He comes into the night second in the standings, and he's second to Elwood tonight. But with his victory last season giving the momentum, it's going to be a consistency race to the end. And Alan Elwood has been very consistent. That's true. But when he hasn't been consistent, Connor, he's got all of his finishes have been in the top 3, except for 3 finishes. And those 3 finishes were all outside the top 15. So I think if Bresci can just capitalize on finishing races inside the top 5, if the 5 falters, the 24 will be there to pick up what's left.
He's really going to have to work hard to keep his car on the track. Like you said, all about consistency and keeping your car clean through these next 4 races. So if Bresci can find some pace and maybe be faster than a 5 at certain tracks, then that's great. But it's going to come down to who can stay on the track more and keep their car clean and not get wrecked out of races. And that's not all up to you. Sometimes circumstances come into play as well. But for the most part, you're in control of your car. You got to get yourself out of bad situations if you see yourself in one. So I think Bresci's pretty good at that. Elwood's good at it too, but I think the 24 has got more experience in this type of racing as he gets loose out of 4. So I see Bresci. I don't think he's out of it just yet. I think he's got a really good run for Elwood.
Shane Terrian just drove by Brad Slaughter Jr. like he was stopped. And now he sets his sights on Riley Thompson in the 56. Now, I would say Shane Terrian, well, as he come across the line that time through, ran a full second faster. I think Shane Terrian is going to pass Riley Thompson. And I would say that both of their strategies worked out. They were both on opposite ends. Thompson pitting really early into the race. Shane Terrian staying out very, very long. And they're going to swap positions, and I take back everything I said about both their strategies. They're both going to work out just fine.
The 83s will work out better than the 56s because it looks like Thompson might still fall back to 7th. Brad Slaughter Jr. still gaining on him a lot. This is the point in the run where I think everyone expected, I kind of expected probably Thompson to really fall back. That red front's going to start ailing with how long he's been on the track. Here comes Terrian to the bottom, just going to fly by him for that top 5 position. Definitely a good recovery for Terrian.
Yeah, they just needed a caution for those strategies, or for Thompson's strategy to really work. And the fact that he didn't get a yellow, I mean, not having yellow flags is a pretty rare occurrence. Usually you'll get at least 1 or 2. But when you don't get them and you start to get into 50, 60, 70 laps green, you just have to kind of anticipate it going green for the rest of the race and chance that. Usually if cautions happen, Connor, they happen rapid fire and everyone's sort of in the same boat.
It was either going to be one or the other. It was never going to be in between. I expected it to be a bit more all over the place. And Slaughter Jr. scraped the wall into one there. I definitely expected this race to be more all over the place, but it's definitely been the opposite. Been much more clean than I could have ever anticipated. So it's been a fun one to watch. Been a lot of good racing up and down the order right here. We still got the final battle of the night probably for that 6th position. Slaughter Jr. finally got the Thompson.
And for Brian Chambliss on Finney DeCuna, this is for a top 10 spot, but he slipped. Here comes that 81 on the 56. He should be able to complete this pass. Behind them, though, the notable situation change is that the flag is white now for Alan Elwood. There he is, the backdrop as these guys race for position. Alan Elwood had 5 wins coming into the night. After a 19th at Talladega last week, he's going to rebound and set off the Fuel Finals the right way. Alan Elwood, points leader, wins at Richmond.
Going to do burnouts immediately, not even going to wait a lap as Pistorius spins out as well. Bresci's going to come home second. Closest driver to Alan Elwood, a bit of a participation trophy for that. Scholl's going to hold on for 3rd, DeWeese behind him in 4th, and Shane Terrian 20 seconds back of Alan Elwood coming around for the 5th position. Brad Slaughter Jr. gets by Thompson for 6th. So Slaughter 6th, Thompson 7th. That's everyone on the lead lap. Just 7 drivers staying on the lead lap tonight.
Wow, again, that was a domination for Alan Elwood tonight. He led a whole bunch of laps. Fireworks explode off the backstretch now. Elwood in the number 5. Tonight he led 121 of 150 laps. That is about as much as you can win a race by.
Can't do much better than that. And I think that's better than he did at New Hampshire. He's pretty fast at New Hampshire as well, but this definitely tops it, no doubt about it, as he just pretty much outpowered everyone tonight, no doubt about it.
Celebration and elation for the number 5 points leader. He will add the 6th win to his win repertoire tonight. And given that this is our 12th race, he has won now half of the races in the 2021 season here in the Fuel Mission 22 Premier Series.
No, not something you're going to see very often in league racing. He's making his league his own so far this season. Still got 4 races to go, but he's looking pretty invincible right now.
I would say so. Here's a look at your race results. Connor, no surprises here tonight. Everything sort of happened as we expected it, anticlimactically. But Elwood, Bressie, Stroll, DeWeese, Terry in your top 5. A lot of championship fighters in that group, and I think they're going to head into Dover next week pretty much where they were.
We're going to see everyone outside the top 4 like DeWeese trying to make their name for themselves, trying to get up there in the points and trying to make a name for themselves, trying to battle for the championship and kind of upset those top 4. But we're definitely going to see a great battle to the end, no doubt about it.
Vinny DeCuna ekes out a top 10 over Brian Chambliss, who comes home 11th. Lakatos, Roderick, Rimmer, Logan, Will Roberts. Tonight, disappointing night for Casey Shue after coming off that top 5 finish last week. Behind his teammate Thomas Bressie, who finished 2nd place tonight. Thomas, after the win at Talladega last week, coming into Richmond and finishing 2nd. The momentum is there, but so is Alan Elwood's domination. Your thoughts on heading forward into the Fuel Finals and how you're going to tackle that number 5?
Yeah, I mean, hats off to him. He drove a heck of a race. I figured once he got by Riley at the beginning, he was pretty much going to be gone. But honestly, I'm surprised that I ran as well as I did. Usually with these day to night races at Richmond, I'm pretty decent at the beginning and then not so great in the middle and then really good right at the end. But I actually felt like I did pretty well through the whole race. So that's always a confidence booster, especially when the track surface got updated today. Also a big positive. I say that sarcastically, of course. But yeah, I'm looking forward to the finals. I think we're going to Dover next week. Am I right on that one?
Yes.
Okay. Well, then I'm very much looking forward to next week, as I told you last week. So hopefully we can start the finals off on a good note and see what we can do about that 5 car.
Can't be a lot of people very excited about Dover. Thomas Bressie is one of them. Congratulations, 2nd place after a win last week. We'll see you at Dover.
See you guys.
Move on now to Michael Stroll, who finished in 3rd place tonight. A very strong run for the number 8, 6th to 3rd. Michael, take us through your night. Some good battles, especially with Braxton and Shane throughout the night. Take us through it.
Yeah, first of all, I really needed that run. That's my first top 5 since Daytona. I really had a really crummy season, so it's good to get back on track. Been fighting COVID all week, so I am beat up right now. But fighting Shane, I feel like he maybe helped me up a little bit, but that's just racing, and it's a testament to this league, the talent that we have right now to go caution-free at Richmond. I did not expect that, but everyone here did a great job tonight.
A really fantastic night, Michael. I'm not going to make you breathe any more than you have to. Sorry about about COVID, man. Get better, feel well, and we'll see you at Dover next week.
Thank you very much.
Have a good night. Moving on to Alan Elwood. Not much to say about tonight other than he went out there and absolutely whooped everyone. Half the races this season have been won by you, Alan. Take us through your night. Tonight, pretty anticlimactic from your perspective, maybe, but we head into the Fuel Finals with you right on top.
Oh my God, are you guys surprised about that green flag run? Holy cow!
I'm not surprised, given the talent of this league, but I think maybe a little bit that we didn't get at least one to mix things up.
We used one to go get a fan. I'm burning up, to be honest with you. But no, just you know, like I was telling the guys down there, I try not to use all of my luck up, my racing luck, you know, before the finals, but trying to put a stamp on things and hope, you know, that I can keep the momentum up. The only way that you can do that is be up front and keep winning or, you know, leading laps. So just, you know, trying to stay up the front as best I can. And wow, like all I can say is just the season's been a dream come true to come in here and be this successful. A lot of times my first entry, you know, first season into a league, it's been kind of up and down. So to come in here is and be able to accomplish what I've accomplished has been awesome. But you know, it's not over. We still got these 4 important races coming up. So, like I said, just got to keep carrying it and you know, hopefully come away with the title.
Got to execute 4 more times, Alan. Congratulations. We'll see you at Dover. Good luck.
Hit it.
All right, Connor. Well, Riley Thompson's final thoughts were F the right front tire after tonight. I think a lot of drivers might feel similarly. Your final thoughts on Richmond before we head into Dover, where our fuel finals will kick off and our 12 drivers will go for championships.
Kind of, it's good for me because I'm running a Road to Prairie race on Thursday, so I know that top line isn't the best and it probably wore out the right front a little bit too much. That was good for me to know. I'm not surprised the right front wore out. That happens a lot at Richmond, especially when you're trying to drive the car as hard as you can. So it was a fun race. We saw side-by-side racing. Some drivers liked the parameters probably, some people probably didn't, but provided pretty decent racing, and we're only going to see more decent racing at Dover, and it's going to get crazy next week. So it's going to be interesting to see if Alan can hold on to that points lead. I think it's going to be 5 points next week because of the reset, but he's definitely the driver to beat. We'll see if he can continue to be the driver to beat.
Got to be the driver to beat here in the Fuel Mission 22 Premier Series. Alan Elwood is that guy. Kyle Heyer with Connor Horn. We'll see you next week at Dover, and tomorrow night on the Winding Road Magazine channel for Spec MX5 Sim Racing Challenge, 8:30 Eastern. We'll see you there.